All right, let's talk about the AKG C114.
From the mind of Mark Yoshimoto Nemkov.
You know, people are always asking me some version of the same question. Mark, where do babies come from? And while I don't know the answer to that one, I usually also don't know how to respond when they ask, hey, what's a real mic under $250? Because the answer often is, there isn't one. There are mics under $250. There are even mics under $250 with suspiciously enthusiastic Amazon reviews written by people named things like Sound Lover 88 and Snake Plissken Scottsdale 7. But a real mic? A real mic? One that you could actually recommend to somebody without feeling like you've just nudged them toward a future Craigslist regret? That is a much tougher ask. And that's why the C114 is so interesting, because it sells for $229, comes with a shock mount, and unlike a lot of mics in this price range, it does not immediately sound like a desperate attempt to impress you. And that alone puts it ahead of a disturbing amount of the field of competition. Now, here's what I think AKG did. This mic has a 26mm capsule, not your standard 34mm. It's an edge-terminated design, right? And that matters a lot because this mic is clearly trying to sound like it comes from the more traditional legacy AKG school, and not the let's staple 10K onto everything and call it detail school. And yes, a 26mm capsule is substantially smaller than a 34mm one. That means 40% less material, easier manufacturing, and generally a friendlier path to building something affordable at scale. That's not romance, that's math. So part of why this mic exists at $229 is not magic. It's modern manufacturing. And honestly, good. Because we live in a world where the device you're watching this on was most likely assembled by machines with tolerances tighter than most people's opinions. And I'm okay with that. I am. Now, the first surprise about this mic is that I don't think it sounds cheap on me. And that's the whole story. Really. The C114, I don't think it sounds like a toy. I don't think it sounds plasticky on me. It doesn't have that annoying budget condenser smile curve. You know, where the lows are fake big and the highs are fake detailed and the mids, you know, the actual part where your voice lives, they get evicted. Now, what I think it sounds like on me is fairly controlled and more grown up than $229 has any business being. Not magical, not mythical, not beats a vintage C12, bro. Just good enough that I could work with. And in this price bracket, that is a huge deal. Now, does it sound like an AKG? Yeah, kind of more than I expected. Now, I'm not saying this is like a 414, relax your butthole. I'm saying it feels like it belongs in that family a hell of a lot more than some of the 214s I've heard. Now, there's a certain AKG style flavor in here, and a top end that feels intentional instead of panicked. And if you read reviews of the C114, they all draw that line to the 414 family voicing. But they're all pretty clear that it's not the same class of product, and that's kind of the point. For $229, I'm not asking this mic to be a 414 at a quarter of the price. I'm asking it not to embarrass itself, or me. And honestly, I think it does much better than that. But my one gripe, though, the pattern selector switch. It feels a little cheap. Not unusable, not catastrophic, just a little spiritually flimsy. Like if you told me it was designed on a Friday, I'd believe you. So my plan is simple. I'm setting it to cardioid, and then I'm going to leave it alone forever, like a sleeping bear. And honestly, most of us buying this mic are probably going to just live in cardioid anyway, so I'm not going to pretend that this is some huge lifestyle crisis. I think that you can categorize the C114 as a mic that behaves itself. Why? You know, it's bright, but not harsh. And that doesn't mean it's sleepy. It doesn't mean it's dark. It just means it doesn't have that really nasty upper band aggression that makes a lot of cheap condensers sound like they're trying to exfoliate your face. The C114 gives you detail without immediately punishing you for it. And that is very useful. The C114, this is the mic that says, hey, here's your voice. I'm not going to over-season it for you. You decide what kind of meal this is. And that means narration makes a lot of sense on the C114. Not because it's bland, because it's sane. Now, could you shape it into a commercial mic? Of course you could. A little EQ, a little controlled forwardness, a little density, a good de-esser, and you're there. You know, the C114 starts closer to honest and then asks you to shape it, and that's a real difference. Now, is it worth $229? Yeah, I think it is. Not because it's revolutionary, not because it destroys mics costing $3,000, no. And not because I've lost my mind and joined some kind of budget mic cult. It's worth $229 because it clears a much more important hurdle. I can recommend it without apologizing. And that is rare in this category. You get a mic from a major brand with a shock mount, with real utility, and with a sound that feels intentional and enough character to be useful without so much hype that it becomes annoying. And in a market full of, affordable microphones that often feel like they were built to win a spec sheet argument, instead of recording your voice, that matters. I think you can gig with the C114. Look, it's not perfect, it's not glamorous, it's not a miracle, just a genuinely solid mic at a price that is weirdly uncommon for a mic like this. So don't take my word for it, though. Get one from a place with a good return policy and try it in your own space, on your own rig, doing your thing, and decide for yourself. That is the review you can count on. Now, if you're looking to book more voiceover work, tools matter as much as knowing what to do with them. And if you're looking to get to that next level, no matter what level you are currently at, check out my book, The Modern Voiceover Career Owner's Manual. You can find it on Amazon in hardback, paperback, and for Kindle. And you know what? Let me know what you think about the C114. Leave a comment. Until next time, this is Mark Yoshimoto Nemkov, fading to black.